All right, so OET writing, we're going to talk about using commas today because I noticed from, as I've said to these guys before, I noticed that in the last class, in the last week, I should say, there were a few issues with commas. And also I was saying to everyone before this class started that I think a lot of native speakers don't really know how to use commas, all right? Even members of my family. So hopefully by the end of this class, you'll have a bit of a clear idea about how to use them. And, that'll give you some information that probably not a lot of native speakers actually know that well. Okay, so can anyone see my screen here?
Yes.
Just put your microphones on and say yes. Fantastic. Okay, so let's play a quick game before we start the class. First game is going to be a very simple punctuation game, actually. All right. So seeing as we're studying punctuation today, I want you all to shout out what type of punctuation you see. So what's that?
Question mark.
Question mark. This one?
Exclamation sign.
So we call that exclamation, we call that question mark, yeah? Okay, what about this one?
Stop.
Full stop. In the UK, full stop. In the USA?
Full stop.
A dot or a period in the USA. What about that?
Hyphen.
Hyphen, yeah. And what about this?
Semicolon.
Here's a quick tip. Hyphens and semicolons are almost the same. They're almost the same. What do we call these?
Brackets.
Brackets, you guys are good. What do we call these?
Invited commas.
Inverted commas, or better is quotation marks. Quotation marks, okay? When you say inverted commas, I think of this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you can use them the same way. We use them for reported speech usually, or to put something in question, right? I won't go into that very much, but you can also say that I question this word, okay? And is there any other punctuation I've missed? This one, what's this? Colon, okay. And the last one? Comma. And this is what we're studying today, okay? Another quick game just before we start, though. I want to play some word formation because this is actually very relevant today. Word types, okay? Microphones off, please. We've just got a bit of background noise. If I said that, you're going to tell me what type of word is that?
Verb.
That's a verb, right?
Verb.
Okay. What about something like, ooh, what's that?
Verb.
It's a verb. What does it mean?
Destroy.
Destroy, yeah.
Destroy.
Spoil, destroy, exactly. Good.
And also it can be used as noun, right?
Like our ruin or ruins. Yeah, what does it mean? Tell us.
Remaining.
It's like an old castle,
yes,
or an old building from say 200 years ago. We call them ruins. Yeah, excellent. Okay, what about this?
Temporary.
It's an adjective. Yeah, adjective. Okay. Now this is the key. This is why this is useful to say. What about this? What type of word is that?
Preposition.
Preposition. Okay, what type of word is this?
Conjunction.
Conjunction. Okay. What's the difference between a conjunction and a preposition? Can Share, could you tell me what's the difference between a word like this and a word like this?
Conjunctions links to patterns.
They usually link clauses.
Yes, link clauses.
And that's what we need to study today. Yeah, okay. And prepositions?
Prepositions always follow nouns.
Well, they usually link nouns, right? Yes. But they can also link verbs and nouns as well. They can also link adjectives and nouns, right? But they usually link words, right? It's different. Clause is different from words together, okay? This is very, very important because it's going to form a key part of using commas. Let's get conjunctions clear. What is a conjunction? Give me another example of a conjunction. Anyone? And. What else?
And, but,
because is a conjunction. Good. What about in?
No,
Preposition.
preposition.
No, that's a preposition, right?
In addition.
Preposition. In addition is a linker, right? So it's not a conjunction. And that's, and again, that's going to be, you'll find that, let me put that here, right? Linkers are not conjunctions, right? And that's a problem with that, that causes comma problems, okay? What about of?
Of preposition.
Preposition.
Okay. And, but, because, or, yet,
As,
what else?
as well as.
However.
As well as, yeah, that can be a conjunction as well. However is a conjunction. Good.
Thus.
More.
So I hope that you can see that these words already, these words, they join phrases together. They join clauses, right? But prepositions, they join, it's words. Like if I said a history of violence, right? Of is a
Preposition.
preposition, and it's just joining the word history and violence together, right? And we would call that like a compound noun, okay? So that's just a bit of a game, but also this is going to be useful for the class later. Don't forget what a conjunction is. If you're not sure about this, you should review it because it affects so many things in grammar, okay? Now today, what are we doing? We're going to talk about why we use commas. Then I'm going to talk to you about sentence types today. That's where your contrast sentences will become very useful. Bless you. And last thing we'll do is practice identifying errors. The errors will be your errors from last week. So hopefully by the end of this class, I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself here, but hopefully by the end of this class, you can identify the errors and you can tell me why that's an error, okay? So let's start with a simple question. I like simple questions in my classes. Why do we use commas? Right? It's not a simple answer, but it's a simple question. Let me ask Sarah. Could you put your microphone on, Sarah, or Talita as well?
Hi, Adam.
Can you think of a reason why we use commas? There's many, right?
Mm.
Can you think of one reason why I might use a comma?
To avoid running sentence.
To avoid running? What do you mean? Ruining?
Rush.
Rushing? Not exactly, no. But what about, for example, if I say, I bought a car, a house, a fish, a table.
Tooling.
Separate ideas.
For a pause.
What am I doing there? I
for
bought
listing.
apples, bananas.
Yeah,
Listing, right?
Yeah.
We use commas for lists. Like I bought an apple, a pear, and an orange. Okay. Why else do we use commas? Let me ask one other person here. Lucy or Ling? Emre as well. Can you think of another reason why we're going to use commas?
Linking ideas.
Ah, okay. So almost there is this idea of linking ideas, but okay. So here's an idea: fish. Here's another idea: apple. Is that correct?
Separate the items, I guess.
Separate
Link
items.
noun.
Not quite, actually. What about if I said something like this, guys? First, you should boil the water. Do I need a comma there?
Yes.
Yes.
Why do I need a comma?
Emphasizing. Emphasizing.
It's not actually. First comma.
Is to pass.
Second. Bianca.
Separate ideas.
Well, no, linking phrases, right? At the start of the sentence. Okay, can anyone give me another example of a linking phrase we might use in OET?
Initially.
Initially, consequently, subsequently,
In addition.
in addition, right?
Addition.
So we're going to use commas there. I don't think it's that complicated, right? That's kind of like linking one sentence to another sentence, right? Additionally, that means this one is added to this one. Okay. It comes at the start of a sentence though. Why else do we use commas though? Can anyone else tell me?
For pause, like we give an idea and then we are going to give another idea.
Give me an example, Virginia. Was that Virginia there? Or was that Dunia?
Dunya.
Dunia, give me an example.
I'm going to do some shopping, comma, and I can add another thing.
Shorten the
Do
language.
some
Well,
comma, which I can find fruit,
Let's say which is nice, right? Because that yours is slightly wrong there. But that is a good reason to use a comma. Why should we use commas here, guys? This is called a relative clause, right? And actually you'll see that again later on. But it seems like no one in this class knows the primary reason why we use commas.
Medication, when we talk about medication.
Thank you. That's not the primary one, but that's a very important one in OET. So we usually say we separate the dosage, don't we? Can you give me examples?
Yes, penicillin, 30 milligram.
I'll go to the individual.
Right. So guys, we might say he is taking, microphones off, please. He is taking blank, right? That's the drug. Someone, we can just hear a little bit of background noise, like a bit of a baby or something. Don't mind that, but just mute yourself. Okay. So separate the dosage, the route, etc., with commas. So he's taking, I don't know, paracetamol. How much, guys? Comma. Will this kill him? Is that too much?
500.
What about,
milligrams
that's
four
actually
times
okay,
a
isn't
day.
it? What about if I gave him that much?
No, it's too much.
No.
Just kidding.
Too much.
Okay, so there's a paracetamol, but look, we've got commas separating the dosage from the drug, right? And you might say daily as well. There's commas here. So Bianca's very right. In medication, we always separate the dosage with commas. We separate the route with commas. We separate the frequency with commas. Okay, but there's another reason that's much more important than that. It's very basic. Anyone want to tell me?
When there is a audible pause in
Separate independent
sentence.
clauses.
So someone has finally said
Independent
clauses.
clauses.
No, it's just,
To separate.
in general, it's clauses, okay? To separate out clauses, right? Let's just say to separate clauses. And this is the key one, guys. This is the one that I want to teach you today because I don't think the other ones are that complicated. You're probably just forgetting, okay? The one that causes the most problems is to separate clauses. Does anyone here know what a clause is? I think Paul's
Yes,
maybe
it's
spoken about
Yes.
this.
A section
Okay,
Sentence.
so we'll have Bernice, please. Go on, Bernice.
The section of sentence that makes idea.
Okay, so let's have this. So what is, right, a clause?
idea.
Now, the problem with this, Bernice, is that that's a good definition that I think Paul uses sometimes, right? But there's actually not a good definition of a clause because there's lots of different situations, right? So one way to think about it is, tell me that again. What was that, Bernice, you said? Separate idea?
Section of a sentence.
Section of a sentence. Okay. And? Is that it?
With an idea, like with an idea.
With an idea. Okay. The problem with that is it doesn't really fit all of the situations. Okay. Like if I said, I bought a house. How many clauses is that?
One.
That's one.
One clause.
I bought a house with my friend on Wednesday in the evening. How many clauses is that? Oops. Friend on Wednesday. How many clauses, guys?
One.
One.
But that looks like, doesn't that look like a section of a sentence with another idea?
No.
Right? I'm not saying that's wrong. That's a useful way, Bernice, to think about clauses when you're studying some grammar, okay? But it's not useful. It's not a useful way for commas, okay? So I'm going to give you a definition, and my definition is also bad because there's some exceptions to my definition, okay? What is a clause? A clause is a group of words, okay? And I know that Paul uses this as well sometimes. A group of words that have a subject
And verb.
and verb. Okay? So this definition works for most examples, right? A subject and a verb. Let me give you an example, right? So what if I say, she eats apples? How many clauses do we have here, guys?
One clause.
So obviously one. What if I said she eats apples and he eats pears?
Two
Two.
clauses.
Two.
Why is there two?
He and she. There are
Subject,
two subjects
Two
and two
subjects.
verbs.
verb,
Then
subject,
subject.
verb, right? Okay, so here's an interesting question then. Let me ask Roshni, is that two clauses now or one clause?
I think two clause. No, this.
But according to my definition,
Oh,
can
yeah.
that be two clauses or one clause? What do you think?
Now it's one
One
Yeah.
clause.
because it's only C.
Yeah, and then this is what I want to say, guys, for today, for commas, when you're thinking about commas, okay, we're going to
So
say that a
what about
clause
noun
is a
clause,
subject.
Alan.
Yeah, well, you're jumping ahead there. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. For today, when we're thinking about commas, right, let's say that a clause is a subject, something with a subject and a verb. Now, Roshni, there are exceptions. This definition also doesn't work very well. For example, eating a banana, right? Oops, or let's just say watching TV. I called my friend. How many clauses is that?
Two clause.
No.
Two,
Okay, but how many subjects are there?
one.
One.
Where is the subject of this sentence?
I.
call my
Uh-huh.
friend.
Here and here. But that doesn't matter, guys, because look, there's no good one definition of a clause. Okay, it just depends on what you're trying to do. Okay, what are we studying today?
Commas.
Commas, right? So what I want to say, guys, is that for commas, for this class, a clause is something with a subject and a verb. Okay, one big exception to that is what kind of sentence do we call this?
Participle.
Participle clause.
Yeah, or
happening at the
Roshni, you were
same
saying
time.
this is like a noun clause
Noun
as well,
clause.
right? You can call this a noun clause or a participle clause, okay? That's just an exception to the rule, but it doesn't matter because it doesn't really, most like 95% of all sentences will follow the rules for this, okay? So what is a clause? It's something with a subject and a verb. Let me do a test then, guys. How many clauses do we have here? She eats a pizza and goes home. How many clauses?
One.
One.
According to me, right? According to this definition, there's only one because there's only one subject, right? What about now? How many clauses are there?
Two.
Clause.
How many are there now?
Three.
There's three, right? You're just counting the subjects and the verb combinations. Does that make sense to everyone here? Yeah. What about this? If I don't buy a house, I will be very sad.
Two.
It's easy, isn't there? So there's two, Bianca. Why is there two?
Because there are two ideas to, and also to
Two,
verbs.
what do we
and
call this? Subjects, right? There's two subjects. So the first subject is I. And the verb, what's the, not the auxiliary, what's the main verb?
Why?
I, okay. And the second subject?
I.
And
B.
okay. So this is very, very important because I know it seems simple now, but let's talk about sentence types, okay? Because to understand commas, you have to understand sentence types. So I'm going to put that on the board. Understand commas. You must fully understand sentence types. How many types of sentence, descriptive sentences are there in English? Does anyone know here? Oops.
Three.
Ooh, who said three? Bianca, go on. So what do we call a sentence with only one clause, Bianca?
Simple sentence.
Simple.
Yeah, so a simple sentence it's a grammatical type of sentence, okay? What does it mean simple, though? What does simple mean?
We have subject verb.
Is this a simple sentence? I saw the man with a coat in the evening on Wednesday. Is that a simple sentence?
Yes.
Yes.
It's simple because there's only one
Subject.
Subject and verb.
verb, right? But it's not simple, like, it's quite long, isn't it? You know what I mean? I saw a man with a coat in the evening on Wednesday with my friend, right? It's quite long. It's not simple because it's short. It's simple because there's one subject and one verb. It's got one clause, okay? That's really, really important. So does anyone know the other two types of sentences?
Complex,
compound.
Yeah,
Complex.
fantastic. So we've got one called complex and we've got one called compound. And they're very, very important to understand, or it is important to understand the difference. Nishadi, could you say hello?
Hello, sir.
What does compound mean?
Oh.
Any ideas what that means? Could you give me an example of a compound sentence, Nishadi? I'll help you.
Mr. Gay.
You go on.
Mr. Gay. Mr. Gay.
Mr. Green. Mr. Gay. Mr. Gay. Mr. Green, yep.
Who was admitted to.
Oh, wait a second. If I say who was, now I've got a relative clause, right? But I don't want to, a relative clause is not a compound sentence, right? It's actually a complex sentence. Give me a simple sentence. Just a simple, it's a subject verb. Mr. Green is sick.
Injured.
Sick.
Okay, so Nishadi, that's a simple sentence, right?
Okay.
Because it has, how many subjects does it have?
Only one.
And how many verbs?
One.
Right.
One.
Okay, give me another one. Anyone,
And-
guys here?
very
Mrs.
sick.
Jones.
He underwent surgery.
Well, I don't think
Let's do another simple sentence. Mrs. Jones, what?
Underwent surgery.
He's sick.
Underwent surgery. Okay. So this is a simple sentence. Where's the subject, guys?
Surgery.
And the verb?
John.
Underwent.
Underwent.
Okay. And the subject here?
Mr.
Green.
Yes.
And the verb here. So compound, what compound means is two independent things, put them together. That's what compound means, right? So how can I put these two simple sentences together?
Comma.
And
What do we call that word?
Linker. No.
What were we talking about at the start of this class? Conjunction, right? A compound sentence has one clause, conjunction, and then the second clause, right? Can I do like this? But I am okay. Is that okay?
yes.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, you can have 4 or 5 or 6 clauses here, right? But the point is you've got to use conjunctions with a compound sentence. Now, this is where commas comes in. Where does the comma go in a compound sentence? Always.
Before and.
after the cross.
The
after
comma
the
goes
cross,
before
yes.
the conjunction.
Conjunction.
That's the rule.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so comma before conjunction.
Conjunction.
Okay. So if I don't put a comma here, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it's optional.
It's not correct, right? But most native speakers get that wrong. Okay, a lot of native speakers don't know that. Okay, but there's always a comma to separate the clauses. There's 2 clauses, right? What about if I said this though? Mrs. Green is sick and underwent surgery. Should I have a comma now?
No,
No.
Why?
because Mrs. Green.
You can think of that as like a simple sentence, can't you, if you want,
Yeah.
right? There's only one subject.
Yeah.
So there's no comma required. Okay. So I'm going to put this one in red because it's so important. We call these clauses, these 2 clauses, we call them independent clauses. Does anyone know what that means? Both clauses are independent.
You
Can
can
be
stand on
used.
their own.
Additional.
Go on, who's
Independent.
speaking there? I can't see.
Sarah.
Sarah, we'll have Sarah and then anyone else who wants to talk. So what does it mean, independent?
Additional or unnecessary.
It's not unnecessary, no.
We can.
They depend on their
use
own.
them.
They can
We
stand
Bianca,
alone.
They can stand on their own.
Just Bianca, please. It means,
We can use them separately.
yeah, you can separate them, right? So if I say she underwent surgery, right? Both these clauses are independent. That means I can say them separately. Do they make sense?
Yes.
They make sense independently from each other, right? So that's the idea with a compound sentence, okay? But a complex sentence, this is the interesting part, the complex sentence has one independent clause and one, what's the opposite of independent?
Dependent.
So what does that mean, Bianca? I think you remember some of my classes on this. What does it mean, dependent clause?
We cannot use separate because we need
Main clause.
We need one of the clauses together with the two sentences must be together, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. One of them needs the other one, like a child.
Exactly.
Yeah. Think of it like this. If I said, Bianca, do you have any dependents? What am I asking her?
If I depend on something, if I
You know, you see this on a if you're writing a form, do you have any dependents? What does that mean on a form? Does anyone know?
If she have children or somebody.
Is there anyone who is depending on her?
Yeah, it's like someone who needs you to pay the bills, I guess, right? So it can be a child or
Parents.
an older parent, right? In the same way here, a dependent clause needs its mother, right? Otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Can anyone give me an example of a complex sentence? Anyone here?
Yeah.
Go on, Anil.
Although Mr. Green walk with the you can say with the frame.
Walks with a frame.
Yeah. Comma. He requires assistance.
Requires assistance. Okay, so let's think about this in terms of which one is dependent and which one is independent. Does anyone know which one is independent here? Which one makes sense on its own?
with the frame.
The second part.
Okay, but the problem with this, remember, this is not a conjunction, right? So you can't remove that. That is inside the clause. So if I said to you, although Mr. Green walks with a frame, what are you all thinking?
It's missing.
It's not finished, is it?
Yes.
The idea is not finished. It's a dependent clause, right? It needs this one to make sense. Does it make sense now? Although Mr. Green walks with a flame, he requires assistance. Yeah. I'm not sure. Is that good contrast there?
Not that much.
It's not a good contrast here, Anil.
Yeah.
How can we change it, Anil?
he made good
He
remarks.
does not.
He does not.
He does
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Okay, so complex sentences are things like this. It's not just although. Most contrasting sentences are complex, but also if. Bianca or Mirella, could you give me an example of an if sentence? If I have time, I will call you. I would call you. Okay. It's a complex sentence because what? One of them is dependent. Which one?
If I have time.
Here, right? All these sentences like while I watch TV. Can you help me, guys? While I watch TV,
I eat.
I eat. I eat my dinner. Very true. When? Can someone give me a when sentence? When I call my mom, comma.
I
What
saw you
happens?
coming in.
Policeman came to my door.
What? When I call my mom, a policeman. Okay, a policeman came to my door. Okay, so let's talk about commas though. Do we need a comma in a complex sentence?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what do I not need in a complex sentence? I don't need something.
Conjunction.
Yeah, Perrine, right? There's no conjunctions in complex sentences, right? And that's the key point that so many people don't understand. Can I say this? Although Mr. Green walks in a frame, but he does not require assistance.
No.
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 Why not?
Contrast is
already
also
have
there.
all those.
Are to contrast.
The idea is already inside the clause, inside the dependent clause, right? If I said, if I had time, but I would call you,
No.
and I would call you, right? Conjunctions can't go here, right? Because the idea is here. Okay. So why is this important? Well, look at this. This is what a lot of people do, a lot of native speakers. They write something like this. Mr. Green is sick and, sorry, Mr. Green is sick, comma, she underwent surgery. Is that correct?
No, C. We don't need C.
Can I just put a comma here and then I can just carry on?
No.
No.
Because it's two
Stop.
independent clauses, right, Bianca?
Yeah, maybe full stop and start another sentence, but not in
Well, when you have two independent clauses, guys, you need a conjunction.
end. Yeah.
Right? Guys, you need a conjunction. If you don't put a conjunction, it's wrong. Does that make sense? Like if I said to you like this, I saw a movie, comma, my friend came with me. Is that right?
No.
Answer no, right?
No.
This is, it's wrong because it's two independent clauses, right? Where's the first subject, guys?
I.
And where's the second subject?
My friend.
My friend.
My friend. Where's the first verb?
Saw.
And the second verb,
Came.
right? Does that make sense to you guys? Does anyone want to ask me any questions on this? This is the key point here, right? Almost all sentences you write, apart from participle clauses, will be like this. Okay. What about relative clauses? Emre and Bianca? Relative clauses. Is a relative clause a compound clause or is it complex?
No.
Yeah, because one of them is
Dependent.
right, dependent clause. So if I say, imagine I said to you guys, who is a nice man? Or that is a nice man. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. Maybe it does actually, but this one's the dependent clause. You want to say something like, I saw my friend, comma, who is a nice man, right? If I just take this away, doesn't make sense.
It's dependent. It is dependent, yeah.
Yeah, this one is dependent on the main clause. Okay. So does anyone want to ask me any questions about that? Because there's an exception to the rules here as well.
Maybe
Do I always need a
non-defining-
comma? Yes, go on.
Maybe
Exception.
non-defining clause.
Non-defining relative clauses. So give an example of a non-defining. Tree, which was very pretty, was cut down. Okay. No, that's a non-defined. Can anyone give an example of a defining relative clause? Who knows good at your who's good at grammar? Defining.
My daughter, who used an inhaler, has asthma.
Is that defining? That seems like non-defining, right? How about this?
Depends if you have more than one daughter
Yeah.
or if you have just one
It's
daughter.
all relative, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay, so but how about this? I bought the house that we saw yesterday. There you go, right? That is a defining relative clause. Paul will talk more about this in the grammar, okay? But we don't need commas for that. Can anyone tell me why I don't need a comma here?
Because that is there.
Because this defines the main clause. It's essential information, okay? But again, we don't really need that today, okay? We're not focusing on that today. We're just focused on this idea. Is everyone clear on this?
Yes.
What about if we said this? Mr. Green is sick, right? As a result, I want to put this into my sentence here. How can I do it? Where does it go?
After
As a
After
result.
C. And as a result, C underwent surgery.
Okay, so it goes here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the comma rules for that?
Adding.
Before and
Before and.
after result.
There's
Before
two.
and.
There's actually two rules. Okay, so I think Paul would say something like this, and as a result, right? Does that make sense? So just still one comma. Can I say this? Well, can I say this, guys? Mr. Green is sick, comma, as a result.
No,
Should be dot.
No,
Is that a
that has to be
conjunction?
full.
it should be.
Is that a conjunction?
No.
Answer
No.
no, right?
No.
No, it's a
So it's
result.
wrong. It's wrong. It's like
Yes.
saying Mr. Green is sick, she underwent surgery with that, right? You must have a conjunction. Okay. For me, my comma style is I put commas here. I'm
Yeah.
crazy on commas. Because for me, this is the end of the clause and the beginning of the new clause, right? This is just a linking phrase. Remember we said linking phrases? It's not a conjunction. So you can separate it out with commas if you want to be clearer. Okay. All right, so I've done a lot of stuff. I've made a diagram here. I'm going to take a few questions and then we're going to look at your errors. Hopefully,
Alan,
you'll be able to correct your errors, but also tell me why. Okay. Yes, question.
all of them are true in compound sentences.
Go on.
The same sentence with different types of comma. Both of them are true.
When you say true, what do you mean true?
Grammatically.
Correct. They're correct, yeah. And you can just change the conjunction, right? I can put yet here if I want, or because. It's two independent clauses. Does that make sense? I'm not sure what the question is.
Mr. Green is sick and, comma, as a result, comma.
Right, these two. Yeah, this is my
Yes.
style. Yeah, this is, I think, a better style, yeah. Some people will just do one like this, but I recommend this. It's, Chara, it's clearer writing. It's more clear, okay?
Okay.
Especially if you're writing a complicated sentence, all right?
Alan,
Yes, questions, go on.
if you put comma just before and after as a result is okay, or
That's the mistake that everyone makes, which drives me
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, that's wrong,
okay.
right? Because this is not a conjunction, is it? It's
Not
two things
the-
together.
Yeah, not the entire.
So thank you, Bianca. That's a good thing. I'm going to put that there as an error, guys. Guys, please don't do this, right? With a comma here. That's wrong. All right. Let's look at some of your errors, and we'll go back to this. If we keep this in our minds, you'll be able to see why things are wrong. Okay. Some of these errors are actually even more simple. Some of your errors are like to do with linking phrases, okay, or relative clauses. But a lot of them are to do with this sentence structure. So are you ready to look at some of your sentences from last week?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just going to have some tea then. 1 second. Okay, so sentence number 1. Can everyone see this? I put a little bit of color in there. This one's an easy one, right? We'll start with the easy one. On examination today, she was found with chest pain associated with mild dyspnea, whatever it is. Where's the error?
Comma after today.
After today.
on examination.
Examination.
Why is there an error here? What's the error? What is this here? What did we say this was?
Linker.
A linking phrase, right? Linking phrase at the start of the sentence. Actually, I saw lots of this stuff last week. Don't forget. Really, really important. Simple, but don't forget, right? Linking phrases at start. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Mr. Green was admitted to a hospital accident and emergency department.
No comma after hospital.
Oh, yes.
In,
But isn't this a
In
separate
accident.
idea? Isn't this a phrase with an idea?
no, it's
No.
it's not, is it? Because
admitted in
what
accident
type of
and
sentence is it? Think about the type. Is it simple, compound, or complex?
simple.
Simple.
It's simple. There's only one subject. Where is it?
Yes,
Mr.
Mr. England.
And the verbs?
was
Admitted.
admitted.
Was.
And it's very useful in grammar if you learn that you can have an object of the sentence which is very big, right? That's all one thing together. That's the object of the sentence. So it doesn't need a comma, does it? Right? Let's get rid of this. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, today, Mrs. Atkins
Comma.
reported that what's the problem?
Today.
Today, comma.
comma.
This is a real error.
After today.
You're driving me crazy with this one, especially because I honestly think your language score in the writing, it could be affected by something simple like that. Okay. All right. Something a bit more tricky now. Okay. This one's a bit more challenging. Mr. England underwent stent graft surgery successfully on the next day as a result of effective care post-operatively. He's recovering well. I mean, there's loads of problems here. What's the first problem you see?
We don't need comma.
After Mr.
England.
Yeah, why?
It's a name.
It's
Subject.
It's the
It's
subject
only
of the
one
sentence.
Mr. England.
Yeah. Well, no, also because we need a subject and a verb together. We don't separate them usually. Okay. So that's the first error. Where else is there an error?
And as a result.
Actually, we need I think.
Next day.
Before
And
on
as
the
a
next day, we should need a comma. Successfully
Yes.
after
Yes.
successfully.
Comma and as a result.
Well, let's focus
Full
on we'll come back to that one last. But what do you all see here? This is easier. What's the problem?
Post-operatively, comma.
We need to put that after.
So is that a subject?
Yes.
Is
Yeah.
that a verb?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do I need here?
Comma.
Then
Yes.
and.
And comma.
This is an independent clause, right? It stands alone. He is recovering well, right? So you can't just say like this, right? That's like saying this up here. That's like me going, Mr. Green is sick, comma, she underwent surgery, right? It's wrong. It's 100% wrong because you always have a conjunction after the comma for compound sentences. Okay, so that's for me, that's the biggest one, but there's also a bit of problems with it as a result of. Is that an error or not? Do I need a comma here?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And
Okay.
comma, and.
comma.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comma and as a result of. Wait a second. Is this subject verb object?
No.
No, right? So you don't need a comma here actually, right?
But is it right on the next day before
Why?
it? Is it a new sentence on the next day as a result?
No,
Yeah, I
next
think
day.
on the next day should be the beginning of another
Yeah,
sentence.
exactly.
because
So Mr. England underwent open stent graft surgery successfully. Yeah,
we
you're
need a
right.
full stop.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
The next day and then
And then what do I need here?
comma.
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 Okay, comma. So now it makes much more sense. Okay, so we've got the linking issue and this. Okay, let's have a look at another one because we've got a few to get through. Okay.
Sorry, do we need to put comma before as well as, or we don't need to because it's only two?
Where's as well as? Is that here?
The last sentence.
Yeah. So as well as is an interesting one. Okay, so I would say
Similar
yes.
to
I would say yes. It is a linker actually, right? But it's a special linker because what can I not have after as well as?
Verb.
Subject and a verb.
Verb clause.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a special exception to the rules. Okay. And actually, you don't. If you want, it's an optional comma. You don't need it actually. Okay. Okay. What about this one? Although she quits. Remember this one, guys,
quits.
doctors.
Quit.
Although she quit smoking a year ago, she has increased her alcohol consumption. What's the problem?
Comma
Comma
after
before
ago.
she.
Before she.
Before she.
After ago.
Here.
No.
After
After
ago.
Yeah. Here. Okay. Good. Why?
After ego.
It's
Why?
two independent sentence.
Actually, it's not two independent ones. No, one of them is dependent.
One sentence.
Sorry.
This is a complex sentence, isn't it?
Complex, yes.
Which is the dependent clause?
Although
you
she
say-
quit smoking.
Although she
Yeah.
quit smoking a year
This
ago.
one doesn't make sense on its own, right? It needs sentence two, right? But this one, that makes sense independently, doesn't it? Okay,
Yeah.
great. That's a simple error, but again, I've seen that so many times. You know, when you're doing your
Comma
contrast.
before over.
Oh, maybe it's.
I think it's error.
Let's talk about that as well. But guys, when you're doing your contrast sentences, they're complex sentences. You've got to put the comma to separate the clauses. Okay, yeah, and this one, I think you're right. Why is that wrong, guys?
No comma before over the last.
Think about what I've said. Is that a clause?
It's within
No.
the.
No,
there's
no.
verb.
There's not a verb
It's not necessary.
It's a
Like,
stamp.
if I said, I bought a house, how many clauses is that?
One.
On Wednesday. How many clauses now?
One.
One. Should I put a comma here?
No.
No. Right. It's just all together in one clause.
Alan, can I ask something?
Yes.
Can you increase something to between? I think there's a problem here. She has increased her alcohol consumption to, maybe, not between.
Yeah, these are real sentences, so I just took the original. So it should be to consumption to between, something like that. Yeah, 30 and 35 units per week. Yeah, so you need the to. Well spotted, right? Guys, if you want to mention any other issues about these, they're real sentences, so I haven't corrected them, okay? This one, come on.
After England,
Before how?
You know, when I did my first OET mock exam, I did a mock exam. I made that, I made this error myself. And I was like, I forgot to put a comma in my letter, okay? This is, what type of clause is this?
Non-defining relative.
It's a relative clause. It's non-defining. It's not essential to the meaning. So I need it's a dependent clause, and I need to put a comma. Is that always? Is that comma always there, guys?
Yes.
Almost like 100%. Yeah, almost. Okay. So let's have a look at this one. Post-operatively. Now, is that correct?
Yes, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone was asking me, do I need a dash? You can have both. You can have both. What about the capital letter here? Is that correct?
Yes.
It is, because it's a
We searched it on Google.
it's a brand name, right? It's the brand of dressing. Okay, so was applied to only search like which consists of dissolvable sutures. Is this an error here?
Yes, remove comma before which.
Do I remove this or not?
No, I don't think so. It's good.
I think non-defining.
Yeah, it's good, right? So this is not an error. Just trying to test. Is this defining or non-defining relative?
Non-defining.
Undefined.
No. What does that mean, non-defining?
It's not essential. Means you can omit it, and still the meaning doesn't. It's not affected.
Not essential to the meaning, right? So if you guys aren't sure about this, like, should I put a comma? Should I not? What you should do is remove the sentence and say, does that make sense? Does it make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. A maypole dressing was applied to the surgical site. Subject, verb, object, it's fine. Okay. All right, what about this one? He stopped smoking 1 year ago, comma. This is a good one. However, she has increased. Let's say this is she as well. Okay. What's the error here?
We don't need a comma. We need
After however.
Is that a conjunction? Is that a conjunction?
Yeah.
It is. Okay.
So
shouldn't it be correct?
After
Comma
however.
after however.
we need both commas after however.
Exception to the rules, guys. Okay, so however is a conjunction, but unlike all of the other conjunctions, however requires
Comma.
2 commas.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know why, but for that one, you must do it like that. Only for this word, however. I think there might be some other ones, but I can't think any now. That's the key one. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
What
Do they
type
want
of
to
sentence
run?
is it? Sorry, what type of
Complex.
is it complex?
No, compound.
Compound, right? Because there's a
Compound.
subject,
It has
verb,
Yeah,
subject,
subject.
verb, and a conjunction.
Yeah.
That's a conjunction, okay? But we have to put this extra comma here. Any questions from you guys? Some people have got their hands up.
Alan, can I ask something?
Yes, please.
Could we make full stop before the however and commence with capital later?
You can,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
But that's a very good question because, Mert, it's a higher level. It's a higher level of punctuation to do it like this, because not very many people know that you need 2 commas, right? One of my friends, she is an IELTS examiner, and I was talking to her once, and she said, "Oh yes, if I ever see 2 commas with however, I always give them a higher score." Because not everyone knows this. It's more difficult, okay? Because if this was and, right? Is that right now?
No comma.
No.
No comma, right?
The
If
comma should be
it
off.
was yet,
And then if I use although,
no comma, right? Now, although, should I put a comma with although? What do you all
No.
think?
No.
Oh,
Is although a conjunction?
No.
Yes.
No, right? It's
Yeah.
not. It's not.
It's a contrast.
Is if? Is that a conjunction? If?
No.
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 They are complex sentence words, right? So there's no comma. Look, perfect. Look at this. Do I put a comma here?
No.
No.
Why
No.
not?
It's not a
The
conjunction.
comma is not
It's not a conjunction. It's not a linker either. It's not a linking phrase or a conjunction. It's inside the clause. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All of that is one clause and it's all together. Can you see the other error here?
Yes, but we don't need.
Oh, why do I not need this?
We put all
Because
the
it
It's
does-
already
although.
although.
It
And
does
what
it
type of sentence is it?
Contrast.
compound.
Is it a compound or complex?
Complex.
Complex.
Complex sentence, right? Because there's no conjunction here. There's no and here. There's no but, right? Because the idea, the word that joins the clauses is here, right? What about this one? Although she quit smoking a year ago.
Comma.
We've seen that one before.
Yes.
Seen that one before. Okay. For which, this one's an interesting one. For which she takes losartan 50 mg.
Okay.
What's the problem? Comma.
Comma before.
Oh, comma
50.
before 50.
What did Bianca tell us? Bianca told us that we always need a comma for dosages, right?
Yes, before and after.
So let's say I wanted to put more information in here. I want to put the frequency. Every night. Okay. What do I need now?
Comma.
comma.
Let's say the root. How does she take this? Is it IV? Is it something else?
Orally.
So orally. Do you notice what I'm doing with these commas?
Mhm.
Every information need comma with medication.
Yeah, I'm simplifying that a little bit, but more basically, yes. Okay. What do I need here, guys?
Comma.
Comma, right? Any other errors here?
Yeah, aspirin.
After additionally, comma.
And
Right.
additionally.
Comma.
Can I use brackets if I want? Is that
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
But
the
not
same.
too much.
But just not, yeah, in terms of style, it's regarded as bad style to use it all the time. What goes here?
Fully stop.
Full stop.
Yeah, well, you can
And-
have full stop.
and-
Very good, right? Because it's a new sentence.
Yeah.
But remember what I said, if it's a new sentence, it's an independent
addition.
clause.
Yeah.
So if it's an independent clause and I want to just join it to my sentence, what can I do?
And
Right?
in addition.
You can say, can I say and additionally?
Yes.
Yes, you can, right? And if you're me, my style is and, comma, additionally, comma.
comma.
Alan, can I ask something? Why we
Yes.
cannot say and as a result of this? But I mean, we have to use a comma
Say
here.
this?
But yes, exactly.
You
We
can,
can-
and some people would just write it like this with no commas.
Is this a problem?
For me, that's bad punctuation because it's not very clear, right? This is the conjunction here, and that is connecting the clauses.
Mhm.
This is just a linking phrase. It's not necessary.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you can remove it. So if you can remove it, then you can also put commas there.
Okay.
All right. So I recommend, this is my style, but I think Paul's style is also, he doesn't do this, and it doesn't really matter. It's just that's my opinion. Okay.
Mhm.
I think we've come to the end of these. All right, I'll take a few questions and then I'll finish because I'm just about to have a meeting with Paul, actually. Does anyone want to ask me any questions about this? Yes. Say your name if that's okay. Junior.
Yes, it's just regarding I think not the sentence, I think the third sentence from the end, which with however. Can we go to that one, please?
Okay, the third sentence from the end with however, yeah. However, in the middle of a sentence, yeah?
Yeah.
Where was that?
Just
Where is although? You change with although.
Ah, okay.
Oh, right. Okay. Before that was, however, but why we said this sentence is like kind of compound, not complex sentence.
Yeah, because, well, firstly, however, just is it is a conjunction. Okay, so it's not a preposition, and it's not like although either, right? It's not the same as that. It's not like if or while or when. It's a conjunction. That's it. That's the So if you have a conjunction, it should be like this usually, but we have an exception to the rules just for this word. What does that mean, exception, guys? Exception?
It's unique.
It's kind of unique, yeah. For some reason, English people, Americans, Australians, all of them, they will put 2 commas for this conjunction, only for this one.
Yeah, sorry, this is not my question. My question.
Oh, right, sorry, go on.
No, sorry, it's just why we said this kind, that like the sentence should be either simple, compound, or complex. So I always with however, although I know it is like a complex sentence, but why we said about this one is like compound, not the.
Yeah, okay. Just because it's contrast, right, with however, doesn't mean it's complex sentence, right? Although it's a complex sentence, but look, but.
It's complex. Yeah,
That's contrast.
No, compound.
But it's still compound sentence, right? So don't get confused with it's just usually the case that contrasting sentences are complex, but you can also do them compound sentences with contrast, right?
Yeah.
It's just that the punctuation changes a little bit. Okay, I hope I answered that question. Furkan.
Can I ask a question?
Yes,
Ali?
go on.
I don't understand what's the difference between defining and non-defining relative clause.
Yeah, okay, I'll do my best with this, but this is one where Paul will teach a full class on it, okay? And it gets really complicated because it's to do with the context, right? But can anyone help me to explain this in a simple way? A defining relative clause, okay, has no comma. And the information in the clause is, what is it, guys?
Important.
Essential, right?
Yeah.
In some way, okay? But a non-defining one is the opposite. So what does that mean, guys?
You can remove.
Defining clause, there is a comma, and the information is not essential. Okay, that's the difference. So most relative clauses are non-defining. Usually they're non-defining, okay? It's difficult to think of a defining relative clause. Can anyone give an example? I'll give you an example of non-defining, okay? The tree, okay, is green. How many clauses are there?
One.
One. Okay, so let's say the tree, which I love, is green. That's a
3.
relative clause.
2.
Right? Now we have 2 clauses, yeah, because it's relative clause, okay? Is that information essential? What do you all think?
No.
No, look, the tree is green, right? I can remove it and there's no problem, so we need commas.
Can I
But
give an example with essential
Please,
meaning?
because it's hard to think of examples, Bianca. I always have to prepare one.
The
Go on.
tree which is on my road has been cut.
Okay, I like that, which is on my road.
Without
Yeah,
comma,
good.
because it's
Because if we remove the road, do we know which tree has been cut?
Yeah, is it essential?
It could be, it might be, because otherwise I don't know which one.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Okay,
That's-
I understand.
Yeah, yeah, it gets complicated, but that's a good example from Bianca there.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Have a lovely day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. What are we studying tomorrow? It's a bit of writing. Back to OET writing, okay? And then on Friday, it'll be Q&A, so let us know if you'd like me to cover anything extra on Friday, okay? Take care, guys.
Thank you.
I have to go now. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
sir.
Thanks, Bianca.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.